Hi everyone, welcome to the fourth episode of Anime Afternoon. Before we get started, I'm gotta get this out of the way. I have a lot of school and a lot of other things currently, so this will be probably the last Anime Afternoon for a while. I will still be doing regular content for the channel from time to time when I have the time, because right now I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, and if there's something I can cut out of my every week sort of thing, this would be the first thing to go, sadly. I might be back to doing this in what's the month that's after May? June? Yeah, I might be coming back to do this particular segment in after May, because I have a internship coming up in in about 2 weeks. I will be leaving, so there's a lot to prepare for that, along with other things. And I will be gone for like 6 weeks. I won't be back until after May. I will pre-record a few videos for you guys, just to tide you over. Yeah. So, got that out of the way. Took about 3 minutes ish. Well, not really, because I'll cut out the beginning part. Never mind. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about just 2 series, because I haven't, just the 2 most recent things that I've been watching, and let's just keep it sort of brief and simple. So, the first one that we're going to be talking about, because I'm gonna do the more exciting one afterwards. Let's see how much bullshit we can talk about. The first one I want to talk about is a series called Akame ga Kill, and it's a series set in a fantasy sort of environment, and it's about assassinations. There's this assassin group, and they're working on. There is this corrupt minister who is manipulating the very young prince. So this is what's that called when you have a king and a queen and whatever, like actual, that's in charge. And the king is this really, really young boy, and he's being manipulated by this very corrupt and, yeah, downright disgusting minister. So there's this rebel group who are trying to stage a coup, and a special section of those are the assassins. They're called, is it the Phoenix? I can't remember what they're called. They're called something. And the main protagonist is a young boy who, I don't know, is a teenager. And he and a few friends leave their very poor village to go to the capital to seek fame and fortune to send back to the village so they can survive. And upon arriving, the main protagonist guy realizes that there's something very wrong with the capital, and he gets robbed and such things. Yeah, and gets, mixed up with the assassins and such things. There are these sort of they get more space later in the series, but there are they're called danger beasts. I know the name is very silly, but they're sort of like your typical, think fantasy RPG monsters, like mini bosses, and they're pseudo magical, and they're dangerous, and so he hunts these danger beasts, and there are magical weapons, which are like, there's only 48 in existence, and this series has sort of a lot of bullshit going on with it. But if you give it the benefit of the doubt, I was sort of turned off on it just in the beginning, but the series sort of grew on me. They have some cool scenes, and just go with the excuse of these weapons were made with ancient knowledge and science and technology that's been lost over the ages, and no one can build more of these, and they're sort of created from equal parts of danger beast and other mumbo jumbo. And that part is super silly, but the weapons themselves and the way they get used and such are actually pretty good. The characters are varied. They grow on you, but in the beginning I didn't like any of them, but it gets better if you give it some time. At least for me, it got better when I got into it, and some things happen. It starts off pretty normal, pretty sort of. I thought it was going to be very generic. It's still kind of generic in some respect, but they do some cool things. The battles are pretty cool. Characters are varied. Some are very tropey, but they're all right actually. Their names are very silly. They're all sort of bad English puns on their own sort of powers or whatever. There's this one character who's called S-Death, which is sort of, she wields a weapon that she can create ice from nothing. So her name is obviously Ice Death. Her name is actually Death. So, but it's pretty cool. I think it's aimed towards sort of a younger audience. But at the same time, they actually mix in some pretty dark themes of torture, murder, and death and loss. So it's got a bit of both, which makes it kind of peculiar, in my opinion. But it's a relaxed sort of watch. Nothing too advanced. The coolest part is when they sort of have the reveal of some characters. If you'll check it out, when you get to see their true side to themselves. Like mostly that's about the sort of bad people, when you get the reveal that they're actually bad people. So now I'll ramble on about that for a few minutes. The other series that I want to talk to you guys about, which I absolutely adore, it's rapidly climbing my favorites list. It's called Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, and it's pretty long. I don't know how many seasons, but it starts off in general. How am I supposed to describe this in general? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure starts off with this young man. I think the main protagonist guy is always called Jojo, and the story sort of follow his this family tree of the Joe Stars, which is the last name. Um, and there's always named something like Jonathan or Joseph or such things. So the first JoJo season starts out in, I think it's uh, in the 1800s. I think I'm pretty sure. Yeah, during the 1800s, and there JoJo is young man who is of his family is pretty rich. So he's a noble, but he strives to become the ultimate gentleman. It is pretty funny, and he their family. Starting off, his parents are in some sort of a terrible accident. They don't die. They get saved by uh, a guy an old man, who's trying to actually loot their bodies because he thinks they're dead. And he has a young son. And as a thing of gratitude, depth of from saving their lives, the Joestar father agrees to pay them back somehow, and that's ends up with the thief old man guy who was trying to loot their bodies. When he passes away, his young son, who is the same age as Jojo, gets adopted into the family, and his name is Dio, and he's the main bad guy for like the first part, and he's trying to he gets accepted into the family and tries to he tries to get his hands on the inheritance, the entire inheritance from the Joestar family, all their riches and such things. So he pretty much tries in every way to outdo and just destroy Jojo's life, and it's pretty horrible scheming and such things. And there is a ancient mask. Jojo is filled with fantasy and pseudoscience crazy. It's insane. It's an insane series, and it's all the better for it. The characters are way stylized. Like everyone is super muscly, and they do cool color changes with when they change like the camera, the angle of the shot, the camera angle, and do their close-ups and everything, and everyone's posing strangely in pseudo impossible ways when they're thinking and showing off. Oh, it's so good. As I said, it's filled with also fantasy and pseudoscience. So this ancient mask, when someone wears it, or it gets blood on it, it shoots out like spikes that rip into the person who's wearing it. It just attaches itself pretty much through the skull, and turns the wearer into this undead type creature. So there's some of that going on as well. And there is I wouldn't know how to describe it, but there's some sort of force that some people can learn to control, which is called Hammon. And it's sort of like the anti-evil power, which leaves them able to do a lot of silly, cool moves and powers, sort of thing. And the best part about it is that they try to actually explain how they use certain things in a scientific manner. It's so good. And it's pretty long. It has several arcs, and you get to follow the Joestar family along some other characters who you get to follow their offspring and sons and daughters, and there's a lot of characters. Every character is excellent. All of them. They're all good. As I said, it's hyper stylized. It's got a killer intro. All the seasons that I've seen so far has a killer intro. It's a killer outro song. Super well animated, like top of the line. Few things look that cool. Yeah, what I was gonna say, I must have sold you on a bit, at least something on it, because I love it. So give JoJo's Bizarre Adventure a try. Please. It's bonkers. It's great. It's got great characters, great soundtrack. Yeah, that's about it. It's great. So, yeah. So as I said, this might be the last episode of Anime Afternoon for a while. As I said in the beginning of the video, I will do some regular content to tide you over when I'm gone. I have pre-recorded a few videos that will be like going live. And yeah, that would be about it. And on another note, if you want to listen to some of my music that I played recently on a local place, I will put a link in the description below and also in one of those card things, if that's something you'd be interested in. I'll see you guys soon.